As a former Green Beret and combat veteran of multiple deployments to Afghanistan and other places, I want to speak to anyone watching this who has suffered from trauma. I want to talk to you about a program called TIPP. And this program is a program that I went through myself not too long ago. You see, 7 years ago, I retired from the U.S. Army Special Forces, the Green Berets, after almost 23 years of service and almost 18 years serving in that Green Beret capacity. And it took me all over the world to places like Colombia, Iraq, Afghanistan, multiple combat tours, to include, a lot of exposure to conflict, to gunfights, and to the loss of friends, to the guilt that goes along with combat as well as the post-traumatic stress. And coming home from service was a really difficult thing. I went to some very, very dark places in my life. In fact, even contemplated taking my own life. And 7 years after coming out of the military, I still found myself at times just stuck in these places in between, where I just felt like I was between two different planets. And I just could not find a way to move to the next thing. I would have mood swings. I would go into these elements of depression. And it was pretty overwhelming, and I'm a high-performing guy, I always have been. But even 7 years later, that stuff stuck with me and would show up episodically and unpredictably. And it wasn't that long ago that I met Dr. Don Wood, and I learned about the Inspired Performance Institute, and I went through the TIPP program with him. Now, understand something. I'm a founder of a nonprofit. I'm a public speaker. I'm an actor, a playwright, hundreds of appearances on national and local news. So anxiety and getting up in front of people, that's just part and parcel of what I do, and working with veterans. And I've seen all kinds of protocols out there that are claiming to work on trauma and things like that, and some of them are pretty good, but I've never experienced anything like what I experienced with TIPP. The second that I walked away from that experience with Dr. Wood, I felt different. I felt like my toes had uncurled. I felt like there was this weight off of my shoulders. But most of all, what I felt was clarity. And I hadn't felt that kind of clarity in a long time. In fact, it was the first time that I slept completely through the night, without the night sweats, without the nightmares. And that was my experience. But I will tell you that I was already operating at a pretty high level before working with the TIPP program. And now it's like a whole runway has been cleared, because not only does he work on the trauma, that's just part of it, right? Once the trauma is cleared, he pivots into the next phase, which is high performance. That's where we all want to be, right? And that's what this does, is it clears a runway for you to perform or pursue the kind of high performance that you deserve in your life. And so if you have suffered from trauma, if you are struggling with grief or guilt, or more importantly, you just want to play at the highest level and you feel like something's blocking you, I cannot recommend TIPP, Dr. Wood, and the Inspired Performance Institute enough. I think you should give them a call, and you'll be glad you did.